Thank you, Patrick. Good evening. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's regular meeting of the Walpole Select Board, June 11th. It's after 7 o'clock, time of our posted meeting, so I call the meeting to order. Let's stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So our first order of business tonight is to accept and sign some general obligation municipal purpose loans that we have recently entered into for water and sewer. But before we get to that, I want to turn it over to Jim to talk a little bit about the AAA Bond Rating that we received on these bonds and on our overall town rating. So, sure. Jim, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you. So we actually issued some bonds for about $5.9 million, mostly for water projects. And I have to say, we received notification last week that we actually got a AAA bond rating, as you know. This is something I've been working on since my time here in Walpole, which has been just over 20 years. And I think a lot of hard work has gone into it. A lot of select boards and finance committees have come and gone through the years, but this can be attributed to their hard work, not only this board and the current finance committee, but the financial management that we have in place, the policies and procedures that have taken place that have been implemented over the last 5 to 10 years have gone a long way. Our borrowing, our stabilization, the funds that we put aside, which also went a long way, but I was really concerned that we'd never really get there. You know, we fought and we fought, especially during the middle school project, but to my surprise, we were informed by our financial advisor that we finally got there. And it's to the hard work of these two ladies out here in the audience, Lisa and Jody. They did a whole lot of work on this. We got a five-year financial forecasting tool in place now that we've been working with the DOR on. So just good stuff all around. This is going to save the not only on this borrowing, it's going to save about $60,000 on the interest rate, but on future borrowings going forward. And we'll continue to keep that AAA bond rating for hopefully a long time to come.
It's just fabulous news, and you're right, it's something that we've been working on for a really long time, and Jim, it's a real feather in your cap.
Thank you.
As our town administrator to have finally brought us to the AAA bond rating, and I absolutely want to recognize that. Also, Jody Cuneo and Lisa Sinkus, our finance director and treasurer, you guys were directly involved. I know the three of you worked on this together, and it is a very, very major accomplishment to have achieved a AAA bond rating, and again, something we've been working on for an awfully long time. And we've been close a couple times.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to have it the last time around and didn't get there. There's always seemed to be a reason, but finally got it over the finish line. So the three of you are to be congratulated, and it's a huge thing for the town of Walpole.
Thank you.
I thought it'd be worth just reading one quick thing out of the report that Standard & Poor's gave us. They gave us a multi-page report that lays out the criteria for the AAA bond rating and what we've done to achieve that. And there are a lot of things that could be said here, but one of the highlights in it for me was it says the upgrade reflects Walpole's trend of robust operating performance and stronger available reserves that are at very strong levels and commensurate with those of AAA rated peers in the state. It also reflects a set of newly adopted financial policies and practices that enhances many of the town's previous practices and introduces new financial planning procedures and financial forecasting. The policy rewrite ensures sound fiscal stewardship and continued adherence to management practices, increasing the likelihood that they will transcend any changes in leadership personnel. That's a really powerful statement, and I think it speaks directly to the work that all of you have done, especially with the policies and procedures, and the fact that they're noting that these policies and procedures, assume we continue to follow them, and since they're policies, we have to, that we will be able to sustain this going forward. And I think that's just really critically important. So a job well done, and going to save the town a lot of money, but it speaks to the overall thing that we've got going on in town here and what it means to the citizens of the town to have a AAA bond rating. So let me just open it up to the board for any other comments.
I think you said it all.
Okay.
Great job.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate the great work you did. Okay, so we now need to talk about the bonds themselves, and so Jody, I think you're going to take us through that, and Lisa, I guess the two of you, and we'll then take a vote to accept those. So let me just turn it over to you.
So can I just say a couple things as well?
You absolutely
if I may?
can.
So this is definitely bragging rights for the town, for everybody, the residents, everybody. The AAA bond rating is held by only 22% of the 351 cities and towns. So it's a big deal, it really is. And I think what's important is that everybody, you know, Jim and Patrick and all the department heads, your board, FinCom, school committee, the residents, the RTMs, all the employees, the finance department, everybody's had a part in this, and I think just working collaboratively with everybody just made it happen, and I think that's just a great thing. Some other things that the rating report cited is that we have a very strong economy, very strong management with good financial policies and practices, as you said. And one thing I want to point out about that is during our phone call after we did the ratings call, it was pointed out that they were very, very pleased that the select board included the financial policies in the select board policies. And that said a lot to our rep at Standard & Poor's. They were very pleased with that. We have very strong budgetary flexibility, strong liquidity, strong budgetary performance, and strong debt. Despite the growing cost, S&P felt that with our 5-year plan and the way that looks, that we should be okay going through the next few years, so they're very pleased with that. So the AAA rating, as you all know, translates to lower borrowing cost, increased investor confidence, and access to lowest interest rates in the market. The bond that we went out for was for almost 5.9 million. We're only borrowing $5,670,000. Yeah, I said that right. And a lot of that is because we received a bond premium. And as Jim said, we saved $60,000 in interest. It's a 20-year bond, and the interest rate was 3.747. There were actually 5 bids, and they were very, very competitive. So the one that we've awarded to, or has been awarded, Huntington Securities Inc. And like I said, their rate was 3.747. The lowest of the 5 was 3.811. So that gives you an idea of how competitive those bids were. So I think what you have in front of you, did I miss anything? Okay. You want to?
Well, what you have in front of you obviously is the vote to accept the bonds. Obviously, you don't have to read it all. The IFA has your special wording. And then all the signature pages that we'll have signed, and then I can forward them to bond counsel to receive the money on June 27th. We'll get the money.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that recap, Jody, and for the views into the bonds and all that. So any questions for Jody or Lisa? Okay, being none, Mark?
I'll make a motion that the forms of votes presented to this meeting be adopted as written and incorporated into the minutes of this meeting in full.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You did a great job.
This is us walking on sunshine.
As you should. Thank you. All right, next order of business is the quarterly report from the police chief. So Chief Kelleher, come on up. And, good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Chief.
Well, it's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'll do the best that I can. I will start with some of the notable incidents that have happened since the last time we met. We had a stolen car incident that happened on March 10th at the Home to Suites. When the officers responded, they recovered a similar type vehicle at the hotel. Further investigation revealed that vehicle that they recovered was involved in a bunch of vape store robberies statewide, which has kind of been a prevalent thing that we've been dealing with. One attempted one happened here quite some time ago, but They eventually were able to recover the stolen vehicle after it was crashed in Boston, and it was totaled. The investigation's ongoing, but unfortunately, at this point, they had to suspend that based on lack of leads. March 16th, officers responded to a significant assault and battery incident in the 500 block of Main Street. When they arrived on scene, they tried to take the individual into custody and became violent, fighting with the officers, and eventually they had to deploy their ECWs, their tasers, to take the suspect into custody, which proved to be effective. Unfortunate incident, but at least no one was seriously injured in that one. Upon search and to arrest, they discovered the suspect had a significant amount of cocaine on that person, so they were charged accordingly in that incident. On March 14th, we had an incident of inspection sticker fraud, which is kind of a rare thing. We haven't really seen a lot of that, but Sergeant Tolan, our detective sergeant, was conducting a motor vehicle stop in the center of town for a vehicle with a canceled registration. Further investigation revealed that the operator had a suspended license and had a warrant for his arrest. Further investigation into the vehicle indicated that the sticker that was affixed to the vehicle had a different registration on it. He looked into that further, determined that the sticker was issued at a 1A auto clinic on Main Street, and that it was registered to another vehicle. He looked into that even further with the help of the state police and determined that the employee that was working there, who happened to be the person that was taken into custody, was playing around with the stickers inside the store, inside the garage. So we were concerned it was a widespread issue at a local business, but it certainly was not the case. He was able to identify that. So it was just a nice work on an investigation there to determine how deep that really went. This next incident was fairly significant. We had an armed robbery at the Gulf Station on April 5th. 3 suspects entered the store, 2 carrying firearms and 1 had a knife. They stole cigarettes, rolling papers, just under $2,000 in cash. But the big thing was they took jewelry right off the clerk who was working and took it away. They immediately began to investigate that incident. Officers were there very quickly, determined that the suspect vehicle was a black Saturn SUV and had fled down High Plain Street towards Washington Street. Detectives started canvassing the area, and they were able to locate 2 blue latex gloves on the side of the road, which weren't too far from the crime scene. They were seen worn in the video from the scene itself. They recovered those, submitted those to the lab for further testing. They were able to also determine that the vehicle was registered to a person out of Lowell, so that information was shared with that agency, and shortly thereafter, Lowell PD stopped the vehicle with some individuals inside of it. One of them happened to be the suspect in our robbery. Our detectives responded to that jurisdiction and conducted further interviews, placed that person under arrest, brought them back. Were able to identify some other individuals that were involved through those interviews, and also recovered a knife and some cigarettes from inside the car that was stolen from that scene, so we knew that was the one involved. After we spoke with that first suspect, we were able to determine that this robbery was similar to the ones that were in Canton, Rockland, and Malden, all in recent weeks. So there was a whole string of these going on, and as such, the FBI decided they wanted to be involved in it as well, so it kind of cracked open a big ongoing issue. On April 7th, unfortunately, 2 more robberies occurred in Norwell and in Quincy. Suspects were arrested after a pursuit in that jurisdiction. They were interviewed by their detectives, and which revealed that they were involved in ours as well, and they had identified another subject that was also on scene. And we were able to corroborate that information independently through various investigative techniques and determine that suspect was in Brockton. They placed that person in custody in Brockton, and we're happy to report that the victim's jewelry was still, this person was wearing the victim's jewelry when he was placed under arrest. So we were able to get that back for that person, which was a big deal. So that was really the big win for that. So we've identified everybody involved in that incident, so they've all been charged accordingly, and hopefully we'll bring them into court near future. Finally, we had a couple of significant motor vehicle crashes. One on Peach Street that crashed into a home that was there. That turned to be a medical incident. Nothing else nefarious going on there. A person just lost control of the car. We had a 3-car crash at Washington Common Street. We did a reconstruction on that as well, even though there was not significant injuries. Speed was a factor in that one as well, close to 80 miles an hour approaching that intersection. So that was addressed in the investigation. And then finally, we had the crash just the other day at Route 1 near High Plain Street, where the vehicle crashed into the Starbucks up there. Speed was also a factor in that. We believe there was a drag race going on further down Route 1, and we're working to identify all parties involved in that as well. All right, so in terms of stats, this quarter we had about 4,000 calls for service and 24 arrests. That was down from quarter 1. Quarter was almost 4,939 arrests, and it was down from 4,700 in this time last year, and 25 arrests was nearly the same. In terms of overdoses, we haven't had any fatals yet this year, and we haven't had one yet this quarter, so we're still at 4 overdoses compared to 7 this time last year. So that is good news and a testament to the work of the detectives and other officers taking drugs off the street. Home for Little Wanderers, we had 61 calls, which is more than we've had in any quarter recently. We had 44 in quarter 1, and this time last year we were at 43. So again, we deal with repeat people up there over and over again, and mental health stuff is still the primary. Runaways is still an issue. We are still getting good communication with that school, which is a positive thing. So we're still having regular meetings with them, and our liaisons are still working hard to make the best quality of life possible for those kids up there. So even though it's busy, we're still managing it fairly well as we have been. Mental health calls for service, so far this year, we're at 291, which is up from 206 last year at this time. Again, it's a big thing we're dealing with regularly. Our clinician, Dylan, is very busy, and the officers are as well, and so is the fire department transporting a lot of those mental health patients to area hospitals. So that's been a big driving force and things we've been dealing with lately. In terms of personnel related, Alicia Walsh, our dispatcher who we hired recently, has transitioned into her new role very seamlessly, and we're full staffed in that unit. Dina Walsh, our new ACO, she started last week. She's been integrating very smoothly so far. We had a meeting with her today to try to get on the same page. We're hoping to go live with her next week when she gets a chance to get settled. We still would know until the end of June, but we like to get her off and running. She's been equipped, she's down at the shelter, and she's eager to get going on her own. So things have been going very smoothly with that, so I'm happy about that. And one final thing on the personnel note, Detective Kyle Griffin is a task force officer for the Secret Service, which is basically he's attached to a unit out of Boston, which we were able to use for resources and help with various investigations without really compromising his ability to be in town. But as such, he was honored with the invitation to meet the president a couple weeks ago. So he was able to go into the event they had at the Long Wharf with all the other area task force agents, the Secret Service agents, and President Biden met each one of them, and he got a photo op with him. So just a tidbit on that, but he was very proud and very happy to have that experience. In terms of our training, we had a number of instructor recertifications in CPI, first responder, and we also had initial certifications in defensive tactics, basic tactical instructor, firearms, active shooter protocols, and patrol procedures. We're trying to really bolster our training cadre so we can do a lot of this stuff in-house and keep our officers engaged and interested. We had some specialty training as well, a lot of youth-related stuff, dealing with kids and with mental health-related things, and then especially investigation trainings as well. We also did a department-wide simunitions training in May, actually the month of May. We did it at the Aggie School, worked on room clearing, active shooter, critical incident response, and Asher stuff with removing victims from hot areas and all the basic critical incident training. So we're utilizing the simunitions equipment we got through Capital a couple of years ago. So my hats off to those guys for putting that training together. It was extensive and very well, very valuable. And finally, in terms of community policing related stuff, we've done a lot of the same things we've been doing, Rise to School, et cetera, et cetera. We have specialty patches have been for the 300th anniversary have been put together by the union. They're working on selling those. They were at Walpole Day recently doing that. We did the drug take-back program in April. That was over 100 pounds of drugs were taken in and transferred to the DEA for destruction. We had a student at Longview Farm, Alicia, who's been a dear friend to our two liaisons, graduated from Longview recently, so both Officer Bird and Officer Finesse went up there to attend that ceremony, and we wish her the best of luck going forward. She's always been a fan of ours, and we had a good relationship with her, so we're happy to see her succeed and move on. They attended a dodgeball event for the Special Olympics, which will help raise money for the torch run, which is coming up. We did a flag football scrimmage with some kids in town. We played over at Stone Field, and a bunch of the officers went down and played flag football with them. So that was a good interaction with the kids. We went to the Lee School Fun Run. There's a touch truck there as well, so we had a cruise up there the kids climbed through. We also did one at the Norfolk Aggie. Similar thing, had our equipment up there on display for the kids to go through. And we attended graduations and field day exercises at all the various schools as well recently. So with that, I will take any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Chief. Good update. As always, some great police work in the report, so thank you and your team for that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I know you have said the Longview Farm thing is under control and all that, and I'm sure it is. But it is interesting to see these statistics continue to climb.
Yep.
And I feel like we go through these cycles every now and again where, things just ramp up, and then we have a meeting with them and they ramp back down. Is it
Yep.
time for another meeting?
I'll have to check in with our liaisons on that. We haven't got, the issues we had before was a lot of lack of information sharing, not calling. That stuff's not happening.
Okay.
We're just busy. So I don't mean to, sugarcoat any of it, because it is a driver of volume, call volume for us, no question about it. We're just happy that we're still having a dialogue with them, and they're still sharing information to the best of their ability. Our officers are still invited in for regular meetings when they have kids that are having problems and may need to be addressed, that living situation, or even go to another place. We have those meetings and we have say in some of that. So I don't know if we're there just yet, to be quite honest with you. If that stuff wasn't happening, I would say yes, and we probably would have heard from me a lot sooner, to be honest with you. But right now, I think we're in an okay spot, even though it has been busy.
Okay, all right, well, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Obviously, happy to help. Okay.
Right, no, I appreciate that, yeah, we'll certainly do that.
Other questions or comments from the board?
I just have one question or comment, and just kind of the mental health, and that's going up. And I was just going through again with the grant. So we are anticipated to hopefully have a renewal of the grant so
Yes.
that Dylan will be able to stay
Correct.
among, great.
Oh, yes, he's not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
So that's great news. I mean, because the numbers, they are, continue to climb, and it really, for your amount of calls for a month, it's still a huge percentage.
Yep.
So it's good to see that we're still hopefully holding on to Dylan and continuing with that.
Yeah, he's been an invaluable asset, like I say every time I come here. We actually had an incident today involving a mental health call where an officer was injured in a pretty much all-on brawl with an individual, and it was all based on, it's just something we were trying to manage, and the person was in a crisis. And, obviously that wasn't a place for Dylan, but it's stuff that we deal with every single day, and sometimes bad things can happen, and unfortunately today the officer's okay, but I agree with you. One way or the other, he's invaluable and need to stay with us for sure.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, well, Chief, thanks very much, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, next, we have the Fire Chief quarterly report.
So if I could, I know he stepped out with Patrick and Jody to go over an interdepartment transfer that
Sure.
we're going to talk about. Do you mind if we get to the other
No,
stuff?
let's keep on going. So, let's do new business. So we have Rick Mattson, I think, here to talk about the surplus truck.
So it falls under the rec department, so.
Oh, it does, okay.
Rick submitted on behalf of Tommy,
Gotcha,
vehicle
okay.
maintenance. So
Okay.
that's a truck that was actually the former deputy's truck, I think, when Mike Larissy was here. We just kind of recycled it down to the recreation department. And with the addition of a couple of new vehicles in the fire department, we just recycled down one of the old deputy vehicles and getting rid of this one. It's really rusted out underneath, so.
Okay. Questions for Jim? Mark?
I'll make a motion to approve the request to declare a 2007 Ford Explorer as surplus.
I'd second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. 5-0. And I skipped over one of the items for discussion vote on offsite water main and sidewalk construction. Do we want to go to that next?
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
Hey, Carl.
Good evening to the board, members. Carl Bald, Town Engineer. I'm just going to lead off here. The Bristol Design Group is here to give you just a little bit of a presentation. In your package, you did receive a memorandum from me with a course of action and recommendation. There's also a letter from Crocker Design Group outlining the project and the benefits and whatnot with attachment for the plans. Anyway, so this is all, and I should have prefaced this is Norfolk Street sidewalk and water main all wrapped into one. It's related to the Renmar AQV project, which is further up Norfolk Street off of West Street. That's a 99-unit, age-qualified development that's been approved twice by the planning board. So if you're ready to go, Taylor, the floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Taylor Grisano with Crocker Design Group.
Welcome.
Here on behalf of the applicant. He should be here hopefully shortly, but so we, as Carl stated, we were permitted the 100-unit AQV off of Renmar and West Street, and as a part of that, the planning board asked that we work with the Water Commission and to, sorry, I'm gassed out of breath.
Take your time, yeah.
Very quick.
Okay.
We worked with the water department, and as a part of their study, they determined that this part of town had some fire flow issues. It didn't affect our project, but as part of it, the applicant agreed to install a water main down Norfolk Street, which is located within the town's right-of-way. And as a part of that, the planning board asked that we also install a sidewalk on top of it for residences to connect Renmar Ave down to Norfolk Street. So we recently went in front of the Water Commission for their approval on the water main. And we are here in front of you seeking approval to install the sidewalk and water main within the town's right-of-way. And I believe we have to lock in a bond as a part of that, which I believe you guys vote on.
Okay. That's good. Carl, do you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I can really add is that, you know, the benefits are outlined in the correspondence, but for everybody who's listening, for their benefit, it's really an excellent project. The water main extends the our south water zone into everywhere south of Norfolk Street, and that's a benefit, and it actually loops it around. When it goes up, it loops it around. So it has a wide benefit to us in terms of delivering water and fire protection, et cetera. And once you dig up for the water main, putting a sidewalk on top of it's a little bit easier, so it goes hand in hand. There's a lot of room in Norfolk Street, so the sidewalk is going to go fairly far back in the right-of-way, so it'll be off the curb line for the most part. It gets a little bit tight when you get up towards where it gets to West Street. But we've been at this now since, I don't know, 2020, 2021. So, you know, we're coming to fruition, and this is the year it's going to happen. But this is an excellent benefit for us.
Okay. Thanks. Glenn?
Can I piggyback up on Colin, and at the risk of repeating a lot of what you said, but I've been working on this project myself since I was on the Sewer and Water Commission 2020. I feel like it even went before that, and it was approved, and it was exciting, and the applicant was always going to do this work, so the town doesn't have to spend, I think it's well over $1 million worth of benefit to the town. And I drove down Norfolk Street today. It's over 0.6 of a mile of pipe. It's like 3,000 feet of pipe. And the street did look particularly wide. Now, I have a quick question for you. Is most of the work going to be done not in the street itself, but on sort of the dirt off to the side of the street, or will the street be cut
Yes, that's perfectly accurate. It is intended to be off the paved way and in the shoulder. And the right-of-way is fairly wide there, so we have quite a bit of room. Now, it's got to move around a little bit. You know, there's a wetland crossing in there, and as I noted, it gets a little tight as you get up towards where Norfolk and West meet.
Yeah.
But for the bulk of it, there's plenty of room.
I noticed there was a couple big, I think, oak trees along the way. I assume you'll just find your way around those. But
Yeah, actually, that's part of the project. Trees are going to come down that are in the way for this, all right?
Sure.
And I forgot to mention it. The applicant did have a public hearing, and you may help me remember when that was. It was last year sometime. So notices was sent by the applicant. We had a public meeting over at the, it wasn't a hearing per se, but a public informational meeting. And I must say that not many attended it, but we did, for those who were there, cover it. So there's been outreach on this thing. It's not being done in the dark. And I really should have filled the board in on that right away and mentioned that in my correspondence, but it was done. And there really wasn't hardly any objection, if at all, and just normal questions about trees and things like that, and tying in and restoration and that sort of thing.
sure, and a lot of benefits. I mean, so connecting all the way to the south pressure zone, essentially it'd be a lot easier to connect to the central pressure zone. It's right there, but it wouldn't allow for the adequate flows. And perhaps someday we could connect, you know, this pipe I assume won't be connected at this point in the project, but we could eventually connect to the central pressure zone down the road?
So it will be connected. That's
It'll
where it gets
connect Central
tricky
and South,
because they're
yeah.
two different grade lines. So on the south side of Norfolk Street, it's all going to be South Zone water.
Okay.
So McDonald Circle will get converted to South Zone. Merchants will get converted to South Zone.
Gotcha.
The South Zone is a little higher grade line, from what I understand. Rick can keep me straight on case I wander out of the lines here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's a little higher grade line, and that's the whole purpose for this. But it is connected up at Norfolk. There's actually a little bit of a tricky situation up there with pressure-reducing valves and things like that. So it's connected, and this, like I said, was the best option, and, considerable expense, but
Yeah, it's all very
This is
positive.
a really good project.
And I guess my only other question is, do we have a sense of when it's going to start? Are we looking this year, soon, the summer, perhaps?
Yeah, I believe they're looking to start as soon as possible. We had to go to the Water Commission and obviously with you guys, but they've been getting bids from contractors, and I believe they're kind of ready to start once all this is approved.
Great, I hope we won't stand in your way, and I know the AQVs are pretty valuable neighbors for the town. They don't do much for the schools or trash and, collection. You do it within your own site there, so, it's a good project.
Great. Any other questions or comments? I have one last thing I want to talk about. So what kind of a sidewalk is being put in?
Bituminous
So that's concrete?
asphalt.
Asphalt, okay. So, I would defer to your wisdom on that, but is that the right thing for us to be doing, as an asphalt sidewalk?
I think so. We try and stick with, there's no steadfast rule about when we go concrete and
Yeah.
bituminous. The downtown area, if you will, the village, so to speak, most of our sidewalks down here are concrete.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure where the line is that we go to bituminous, but all the new subdivisions and whatnot are bituminous.
Okay.
We just got state money into bituminous down on Union Street.
Mhm.
That was Mass Works grant, so, it's not the long life of the concrete, but I think all in all that this is a good compromise for what we're getting out of it.
Okay.
Good value.
Okay. And then my other question was, obviously, they're gonna have to rip the road up to put the pipe in and do all the work. At the same time, they're doing the actual development, which, as I understand, is gonna be a multi-phase development. So, when does the final coat of, I don't know, what do you call it, but the top coat of asphalt for the road, when is that going down? Will that be before or after all the construction work is done?
Well, really, the only part of the road that we'll have to go across Merchants and Renmar.
Okay.
And there'll be an entrance on the rounding at the corner of Norfolk and Main.
Yeah.
So we'll be in the pavement there, but the rest of it won't be in pavement. So that'll get based, and we haven't really discussed the nuances of when the top will go on the sidewalk itself. But
I just want to make sure that
we
timing
could let
is-
it go, a season and top it out. We really haven't discussed that.
Well, again, I'll defer to your experience on this and expertise, but it just strikes me that if there's going to be a lot of traffic, heavy equipment moving around in there and so forth, it might behoove us to wait a while to put the final coat on. Or conversely, if the developer's prepared to do whatever they have to do to repair any damage that gets done, then that would be okay, I suppose.
Well, I think we're gonna repair as we go along, and once again, we're not doing a curb to curb on Norfolk Street. This is
Okay.
all off onto the side. We're really not gonna bother them much. We really don't even need to go across Norfolk Street. So there really isn't a lot of road paving except for
Okay.
where the connection is down on Main Street and the cross streets.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna, we can discuss that about whether we time it in and let settlement go and do final finish paving on those crossings next year or not. We can take that under consideration. I honestly hadn't thought all that much about it.
Okay, good call, thank you. All right, any other final questions, comments? Mark?
I'll make a motion to approve the location and construction of the water main and sidewalk as shown in plans prepared by Crocker Design Group.
Second?
A motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
500. Thanks very much, appreciate you coming in
I've
tonight.
got another couple more motions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
I'm
okay.
jumping ahead, sorry.
Motion to establish and hold a performance security in the amount of $1,100,000 for all related work, including as-built plans in a form and with a surety acceptable to town council.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 5-0.
I'll make a motion to authorize the engineering department to issue a street opening permit with conditions once said security is in place, and all other items normally associated with a street opening, and that the engineering department, in conjunction with the water department, may make minor changes as they see fit, should existing conditions vary from those anticipated, provided the final performance remains the same.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. All set?
That's
Okay.
it. Thank
Carl,
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming in
Thank
tonight.
you.
Good luck. Okay, we're a little early for open forum, so we'll keep on going into the consent agenda, so.
The chief's update.
I skipped over the chief. Chief, I'm sorry, you weren't here originally, so come on up and talk to us. Appreciate it.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Sorry for not being here at the
No
moment.
problem.
Last time we were before the board was May 14th. To date, calls for service, a total 3,059. It's averaging out to be 12 emergency responses a day, and again, 7 inspections per day. Our run volume is up 200 calls from this time we were last year, so we're still extremely busy. The staff is doing a great job keeping up with the calls. It's very impressed with them, and I'm appreciative of the work they're doing.
What's driving the call volume?
There's medical calls. It's just everything just seems to be increasing. They just seem to be nonstop. And it's when we get a call, it's a simultaneous call, simultaneous call, simultaneous call. It just kind of seems to be bombarding us all at one moment, and really stretching our resources thin. Again, same as everybody else running mutual aid. You know, we'll respond to our mutual aid partners, and they'll respond back to us at the same time. So just everybody's much busier than we have been. So incidents. We had a substantial fire in mid-April. I updated the board at the time, just a little bit of follow-up. It was a residential fire. Ended up going to a working fire assignment, which brought Norwood ambulance, Norwood engine, Westwood engine, and a special call for a ladder from Sharon Fire. Group 2 was the duty group at that time, led by Captain Paul Carter, Lieutenant Crochet, firefighters Rick Kofsky, Ryan Anderson, Jeff Daniels, Sean Sani, Jocelyn Jenks, and Mike Shea. And I just want to commend them for their actions of all involved that night. Everyone involved did a fantastic job, but I highlight the excellent job done by Group 2. They encountering heavy smoke and visible fire. Captain Carter, Paul Carter, ordered a working fire assignment on his arrival, and quickly bringing those mutual aid departments I mentioned to the scene. Engine 2's crew forced entry into the house and advanced a hose line quickly. While doing so, Lieutenant Shea heard a noise and quickly found an occupant in distress in the building. While firefighters Gallivan and Shea continued to attack the fire, Lieutenant Shea extricated the patient from the house, transferred care to A1's crew consisting of Sean Sani and Jocelyn Jenks, who at this time transitioned to their firefighting responsibilities from coming off the ambulance. Now quickly went back to their EMS responsibilities to treat that patient. They quickly treated and stabilized the patient and transferred care to Norwood ambulance, which transported the patient to the hospital for us. And then that crew went back to firefighting for us, and they did a great job. Firefighter Anderson was the engine 2 driver that evening and did a great job multitasking, from supplying water into the house for the firefighters attacking the fire to providing EMS assistance to the patient out front, and to laddering the building on the exterior. So all around, great job by him. Firefighter Daniels, assigned to engine 1 at the time, came in. He provided the connection to the hydrant to supply the engine, to provide a continuous supply of water at the time. And then went inside the building and conducted interior firefighting. Firefighter Kofsky was the driver of engine 1. He supplied the hose from the hydrant to engine 2, and then transitioned to both interior and exterior firefighting operations. Walpole firefighters and Norwood firefighters also rescued 3 cats that incident and turned those over to the ACO. As you can see, all of our firefighters showed up on duty. There was 9 firefighters. They all multitasked. They all did a fantastic job. I'm extremely proud of our firefighters and our mutual aid partners. They did an outstanding job under very, very trying circumstances that evening. I'm very grateful for the professionalism that they showed, not only at that fire, but day in and day out. And I just think they should be acknowledge and I appreciate the efforts that they put in that evening. Again, we've had other incidents, but that was the most telling at the time. We've gone mutual aid multiple times to multiple alarm firefighters in our surrounding communities, Norwood for working fire, Medfield, a third alarm fire, and Sharon, third alarm fire as well. Our crews did a fantastic job helping out of those sides and at those fires, and appreciate the mutual aid responses that we've provided and received. We had another unique situation that I want to single out an individual. Captain Stacy, while he was out responding, was out conducting daily business in our command vehicle, the Tahoe Car 3. He encountered what he thought was a situation that required additional investigating. He quickly turned around and encountered an individual having a medical emergency. Captain Stacy quickly intervened and requested additional resources, and along with the duty crew, helped mitigate an urgent medical situation, and definitely made a difference in that individual's life that day. Along with the duty crew, they did a fantastic job, and again, appreciate his diligence in that situation. Our personnel update, I have, of the 3 members that had been out, 1 is coming back Friday, 2 are still out. We're working with them, and they're working diligently to get themselves back into service for us, but they're trying issues that they're dealing with. So the second deputy chief process is moving forward. We should be conducting an assessment at the end of the month, and hopefully within 30 days or so should be for your board with a recommendation with the name to fill that position. Firefighter on probation, Ryan Noonan, who graduated the academy June 28th. We're looking forward to getting him out, get him into orientation, and get him on board. Our 2 newest hires just got their academy dates today. They'll be mid-September, so those wasn't too long of a wait. And they anticipated graduation day is early December, so a little ways off before we get them on the boards. But one of them's on board now, and hoping to bring in the second one on board on an ambulance basis shortly as well. We have one firefighter's out active duty military training right now. I just want to wish him well, hope he's doing well, and our thoughts are with him right now. For our apparatus update, the second of the 2 ambulances that we ordered has been placed in service on May 1st, and is, as we mentioned earlier, extremely busy. We're fortunate to have both of those 2 new pieces in service. As I was talking to Jim earlier today, our spare ambulance, A3, which was a frontline piece at the time, has 140,000 miles on it, and those are hard miles and hard hours that we put on those trucks. So it's good to get that one rested and put it in the reserve status. Our budget is doing okay. Salary-wise, we're fine, and expense-wise, we're keeping an eye on it as we get right down to the nitty-gritty. So appreciate the help that I just left Jody's office and the administration has been working with. Our grants, we're still on a standby status with the federal grants. We've written our letters to our legislators, representatives in Congress, and they appear to be supportive, but wait and kind of see. It is a process to go through, so we're hopeful. Again, it's an extremely competitive process. Everybody who participated in it has done a great job for us. Our ambulance fund at the time right now is at about $3.5 million in that account. Again, the increased call volume and the increased fees that the board voted not too long ago has resulted in a $500,000 increase from this time frame from where we were last year. So good job by everybody, by all involved, by keeping that cognizant and working towards getting us where we should be on that. Fire prevention, Deputy Hover's here. He's again extremely busy. All the projects are falling on his lap from start to finish, so he's doing a great job. I'm very appreciative that he's in that role. Training update, multiple members continue to take opportunities that the Mass Fire Academy avails to them, and I appreciate that. They're difficult classes to get into, time consuming, and it's a commitment for them to get out there. So it's good to see that. It helps them individually, but it also helps collectively our department by bringing better educated, better informed individuals. Update, July 3rd is back on. again. July 3rd is the night before still, so look forward to see everybody down, and enjoy the night. With that, those who have any questions, I can answer.
The only question I have is just overall staffing. Where are you against the headcount plan?
But we have a posting out right now for potentially to fill two positions. We officially right now we're at our allotted number.
Yeah.
We're working towards minus that deputy. With people in and out of the academy going towards the academy and the IOD people, our numbers are short, but allotted is where we're supposed to be. So
Okay.
that's appreciate.
Good. That's good to hear. Okay, good questions or comments for the chief? Okay, Chief, thanks very much. Appreciate everything you're
Thanks for the
doing.
update.
Thank you.
Okay, it's past 7:45, open forum. Anybody here for open forum? It doesn't look like it, so we'll move on. On to the consent agenda. Mark?
Motion to approve the consent items as listed on the June 11th agenda.
Second?
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 5-0. Minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes of March 26th and June 3rd, 2024, as presented.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0. And Jim, to the town administrator.
Sure, just a couple of items here. The Sewer and Water Commissioners met last night to set their rates for FY '24. The hearing went well. Sewer rates were set at increase of 5.05%, which 4.5% of that is attributed to the MWRA wastewater assessment, and sewer rates, tiers 1 and 2 with a 1% increase, 3 and 4 with a 2.65% increase. And the commissioners asked to look at a few options for FY '26 as far as adding one tier to the water of some super users and possibly a tier to the sewer. I need some more direction from them as to what they want to do with that, but all in all, the meeting went well. They did talk about the MWRA supplemental connection, which kind of leads me into my next update town meeting. I don't see that supplemental connection getting done in time for the fall. They want to explore some other options. I think the memo that I provided to them with the cost outlined there and some feedback some of the commissioners actually gave to us is they want us to look at some possible easements near Canton on 95. So we'll be working with Weston and Sampson on that and possibly some other sites. So they made it clear to Rick, myself, and Scott, they don't want to rush into things. They want to make sure they have all the options on the table. So I think that supplemental connection, maybe it'll be next spring, who knows. So as far as town meeting, capital requests are due in at the end of this week to Patrick. I've been meeting with some of the department heads and reviewing some of the requests prior to, giving them some feedback. So we're getting right into it for the fall. So that's really about it.
Okay. Any questions for Jim? Okay. Thanks, Jim. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0. We're now adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Patrick. Good night.
Yes.
Thank you.